in competition. And then the ton of the packs for the players. What I've kind of come up with was 2, 4, 5, 6. I've come up with $6,000 that I actually thought was a suitable asking, or a give, I guess, for this SIF grant. And that would, I don't know if there's no more discussion, I can make a motion.
Thank you, Councillor Corbeil. I think Deputy Mayor
Yep.
Montgomery wanted to say something first. Thank you.
So I guess like I'm wondering where the other 5 or the other 1,000 comes from.
2 for the baskets.
Oh, you want to do 2 for the baskets?
That's what it is. It's 2 for the baskets. They need 6.
Okay.
2 for the baskets, 2 for the Oxbow radio, volunteer sponsorship, and then maintenance setup materials. That's all I could.
Okay.
Councillor Corbeil, do you feel comfortable putting a motion on the floor, and then we can discuss
You bet.
discuss exactly what is on
You bet.
the table? Thank you.
I'll go back.
And Jen, just before Councillor Corbeil puts the motion on the floor, the motion would probably need to identify where the
I
funds
have
would come from. You have that as well? Thank you, Councillor Corbeil.
I move the council approve funding through the Community Investment Fund for $6,000 to the MB Open with 4,800 drawn from the Community Development Operating Budget.
Thank you. We have that motion on the floor. Is there any discussion or questions regarding that? And Tracy, a question for you. There are funds available in that?
Yes, Your Worship, we can make that work.
Okay, thank you. So you've all heard the motion that's on the floor? All in favor? Opposed? So we have 5 in favor and 1 opposed. Thank you. So the motion is carried. I had to do quick math, and that's not good for me.
Your Worship.
Councillor Sobel.
Thank you. So there's two items I'd like to speak of arising out of this, and one of them is that I hope that the organizers are aware that that this has caused us, first of all, a lot of grief. This has the makings of an annual tournament, and that's one of the issues. But we do have staff that is prepared to assist them with perhaps some ideas that may help them overcome the deficit. And if they're at all willing to, and this has been cleared through the CAO, to get a hold of our EDO Alexandra Ross, then they're more than welcome to do it. Next question is in regards to where we go from here in regards to the CIF. Can I ask if there are applications in existence right now?
Yes, through the chair, we do have, I think, a number, or maybe 2 right now that we have are sitting in. We're in our period where the next deadline for review would be June 1st.
Okay.
But we do have applications, approximately maybe $2,000 or $3,000.
So-
$7,000 or $8,000, 5,000 plus a couple other ones that are sitting in limbo right now.
So my suggestion would be, and I don't know if we need a motion on this, but probably just a suggestion, but I'm aware that administration is looking at changing some of the parameters in regards to the CIF grant. And I also understand that there may be significant changes. So my suggestion would be that we stop taking applications. And we can't do anything with the 2 that we have. We can, the rules as they exist will probably cover those, but I think it's fair, and we should try to advertise that as much as possible. That once those rules once the changes are made, then we can reopen that up. That would be my suggestion, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Sobel. So can that be left as a direction to staff and administration? I see Jen saying yes. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mark, for your presentation and answering questions. Tracy, we appreciate that as well, and thank you, Council.
And I will share Councillor Sobel's comments with the applicant to direct them to Alexandra.
Thank you very much. That brings us to item 7.3, the Emergency Management Week proclamation on page 54.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. Before you
I forgot to welcome you. Welcome, Mark. Mark. Welcome, Trent.
before you is the annual Emergency Management Proclamation. I'm prepared to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Trent. Councillor Peterson, did you weigh in?
Was prepared to make the motion, Your Worship.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I'll let the person on the committee make the motion.
Councillor Corbeil.
I move that council declare May 5th to the 11th, 2019 Emergency Management Week. My
Thank
only
you,
other
Councillor Corbeil.
thing was, would you like to talk about the actual day we're having people downtown?
Thank you through the chair to Councilor Corbeil and the rest of council. We are having, our event is called Hullabaloo, and it is Saturday, May 11th, in the park from 11 till 3 o'clock. There will be all of the first responders down there, as well as some of the corporate sponsors that are agencies in the emergency management organizations, like EPCOR and ATCO, who are also funders of the funders, I'm not sure, providing funding or support for the emergency preparedness pamphlets for your fridges. So they're going to be there as well, and we are hoping and anticipating that also those will be available for people to pick up for their households at that event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trent, and thanks for pointing that out, Councillor Corbeil. We have a motion on the floor. All in favor? And the motion is carried. Thank you very much, Trent. Item 7.4, Strathmore and District Ag Society Stampede Sponsorship.
We just need a motion, right?
Right. I think, do we have, yeah, I think we, administration, did you just want to make a quick comment on it?
Go shut your mic off so they can talk.
Pardon me.
Not at all. Thank you, Your Worship. Just in regards to the proposed request for the grant funding from the Ag Society that council is open to supporting the grant request, and just pass a resolution and outline your support for the Ag Society going forward. So,
Thank you very much. Councillor Corbeil.
Okay, then. Oh, you read the really big one. I move that council, I want to say director, approve the request for $25,750 to the Ag Society for the Stampede.
Do we need to say where the funds come from? No? Okay, thank you. So we have a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion from any of the councillors? The only thing I would like to say is, I think, on behalf of council, I would just like to add that, we believe in what the Agricultural Society brings to Strathmore in the way of the rodeo. We think it is a great tourist attraction for many, many days. It brings in a lot of people who support our local economy. So we hope and we wish for the Ag Society to be successful in their hosting of the rodeo. So I'm very comfortable with the motion that's been made. Any other comments? Councillor Sobel.
Just very quickly, Your Worship, I think this is going to be a special year for them as well. The RCMP musical ride is going to be present during the rodeo, so I think we're going to see even larger crowds, weather permitting. I'm sorry?
Their ticket sales are up.
I would imagine they would be, yes. So it's an exciting year for the Ag Society and the rodeo.
Thank you very much for that. So we have a motion on the floor. All in favor? And that motion is carried. Which brings us to 7.5, Center Street Road Purchase Request. Mr. Roycroft, would you like to just quickly speak to this?
No. Thank you, Worship. So the intent of this request from council is to allocate funds and authorize the purchase of 0.2 acres of land associated with Leroy's Motel, which the municipality inadvertently placed a road over. So the municipality has agreed to enter into an agreement to purchase with the property owner to acquire that land and move the road into the public realm.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Deputy Mayor Montgomery,
I'm ready with a motion if nobody has an issue with that.
thank you.
So I will move that council authorize the town to purchase 0.2 acres from the Leroy's Hotel for $97,500.
Thank you. And Councillor Sobel?
Just a very quick question. Do you know the year that land was taken over by the town?
Your worship, it appears that the road was originally sort of in what we'll say is the correct place within the 15-meter right-of-way. However, in 2004, when the town put in what I call Pond 4, which is the storm pond between sort of just east of the, I'm having trouble with words today, east of the Starbucks. That when that pond was put in, the road was realigned slightly to be moved over onto Leroy's property. So in 2004. I'm sure you mean west.
Words and directions.
I knew I was going to get that wrong today. Thank you. West of Starbucks.
Thank you. Jennifer, did you have a comment?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm just wondering if Councillor Montgomery would like to include in his motion where the funds will be drawn from, which administration would recommend the Financial Stabilization Reserve.
So I will amend my motion to include from this Financial Stabilization Reserve. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Jennifer, and thank you for your motion, Councillor, or Deputy Mayor Montgomery, sorry. You've heard the motion, Councillor Cox.
Sorry, Your Worship. I just want to know, I'm sorry, but I wasn't there for do we need to disclose at any point how you came up with that figure? Is that what the land is worth?
Your Worship, in terms of that figure, that was a negotiated agreement between town staff and the property owner.
Okay.
Based on market factors and goodwill. However, it is sort of the offer on the table right now.
Okay, so just for our public, it is an agreed amount. We are not.
Yeah, Your Worship, that was the number that myself and representatives for the property owner agreed we would bring to council as a request. So all parties are in agreement.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Cox. I think that's good, good information for the public who are at home watching our, I guess there's nobody in the gallery, but at home, thank you. We have a motion on the floor. All in favor? And the motion is carried. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I promise to learn my easts and wests.
Awesome. And good luck. Item 8, committee reports. Committee reports 8.1, reports from councillors from committees on which they sit.
Just call it Sunside and Mountainside.
Councillor Peterson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to report from Marigold Library, I will send out their minutes as soon as they've been approved. But the new building, partnership between WID and Marigold is on track, and certainly the 43 municipalities involved in the entire consent for that process is something that the province was very amazed at, and we are privileged to move forward. I'd also like to recognize Deputy Mayor Montgomery for bringing the wishes of this community to the annual general meeting in April. He did a wonderful job. And also that I'm now also on their advocacy committee. They're doing some work around advocacy, especially in rural communities. And you're a naughty council, all of you, very, very bad. And might be stealing Deputy Mayor Montgomery's words, but Strathmore Library recently welcomed a new temporary director in as Rachel is on maternity leave. Miranda Johnson, is that her name? Yeah, yes. And also, the Marigold District held a regional Indigenous community meeting here for their Indigenous outreach program. And they're being recognized widely for the work that they're doing with Indigenous communities within Marigold. So that includes Stoney Nakoda and Wesley, as well as Siksika. And they've been doing magnificent work with all those communities. And Rose Reed, Indigenous woman, is the chair of that committee. And so they're doing great work, and it fits in with the work that our community is doing with regards to Indigenous foundational learning. Wheatland Housing Management Body is undergoing, they've got an RFP, they've hired Gary Gordon. They're moving forward with community consultations, so you'll be hearing very soon about community consultations with regards to trying to advance the project concept planning for a new lodge in our community. And Councillor Cox and I are very, very happy about that. With regards to the Tourism Committee, very soon, look for a very, very fun event coming up at our local brewery. Again, a consultation process in that process. The Strathmore Overnight Shelter has been very, very busy with constant people coming in. Not all of them people that are homeless or indigent, but sometimes people passing through who, for a variety of reasons, can't get a place to stay. But the most interesting circumstances, and so with the cold weather and the difficulties on the highway, so they have been very busy, and they've been doing a very, very good job on this very, very small budget. So they're now actively seeking out assistance from possible funding partners, and our new MLA has promised her interest and spoken widely about how both she and our new premier have spoken in the legislature about the Strathmore Overnight Shelter as a template for future other communities in doing a similar thing. So we're very hopeful that will move that agenda forward, and we'll be able to, we use the money that we bring in, by the way, to train new volunteers. So those are my reports, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you for your reports, and thank you very much for all the time and efforts you put on those various committees. And thanks to all our counselors. Are there any reports from any of the other counselors?
I have to do my write-up first.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So that brings us to item 9. Oh, sorry, we need a motion to accept the reports. Thank you, Councillor Corbeil.
I move that council accept the reports for information.
Thank you very much. You've all heard the motion. All in favor? And the motion is carried.
Worship, just one quick
Yes,
question
Councillor
on this to administration. Do we have an opportunity to report only on one of both? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sobel. I'm confused, but thank you. That brings us to item 9, items directly related to council, 9.1 Chamber of Commerce loan, and it's on page 57. And Ms. Sawatsky, are you speaking to this or presenting, or is Councillor Sobel? Councillor Sobel.
I think I am, Your Worship. Thank you. So I've been to a number of municipalities where the local Chamber of Commerce is the voice of the business community, leading and facilitating a business environment that is focused on a sustainable economy. This was, I believe, the goal of past and present councils, to see our chamber make a positive difference in our business community. Our council continues to do much when it comes to supporting our local businesses, such as forming a downtown vitalization focus group, the Tourist Development Committee, or being part of the Canadian Badlands Association and the local Chamber of Commerce. As well, significant expenditures have been made to update and beautify our downtown, and the number one reason for a recent decision to relocate our town hall to the downtown area is to support our businesses. More significantly, perhaps, was Council's decision to hire an economic development officer, a move that is focused on improving our municipal economy, especially as it relates to commerce. The stage is being set for our local Chamber of Commerce to become a factor in all of these occurrences. As I noted, this council and those in the past have always had a vision for what the local chamber could and should offer our business community. That was the case on January 17, 2013, when chamber representatives appeared before council and requested a loan of in the amount of $30,000, repayable over 7 years, to do some leasehold improvements on a proposed new chamber office. The loan went through, and that chamber lasted a number of months before being abandoned. The subsequent chambers, as well as the current one, have continued payments to the town in this regard. This is in fact a priority for a significant portion of income, and there has been no effort whatsoever on their part to avoid this debt. However, it's clear that this is something that is hindering the group. No one on this present chamber was present or responsible for the 2013 debt. This is in fact a very new, enthusiastic, intelligent, and focused group of people, and a group dedicated to making a positive difference. At a recent annual general meeting, the chamber was inundated with requests to join the board by a number of prominent business people in our community. And in fact, 6 new directors were added. There's a tremendous feeling of optimism, and my goal tonight is to provide them with some of the tools to be successful. My desire is to see them get into a more suitable financial footing and to allow them to use what small dollars they receive each year towards the reason they exist, which is to further our business community. Those are my comments, Your Worship. I do have a motion, unless there are questions or comments.
Are there any questions from councillors before Councillor Sobel puts a motion on the floor? Councillor Sobel?
My motion would be that the remainder of the loan, as approved on January 17th, 2013, to the Strathmore and District Chamber of Commerce, in the present amount of $9,657.16, be forgiven as of January 1st, 2020, with funding to be included in the 2020 operating budget.
Thank you very much, Councillor Sobel. There's a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion on that motion? My only comments would be, I'm disappointed that we got to the situation we did with the past Chamber of Commerce Board members, but seeing the rejuvenation and the new members who have come forward with the efforts and that you're involved in this group and things are moving along the way they are, I am in support of this. I think it would be a good thing to have our Chamber of Commerce start fresh, start new without this this burden. Thank you for the word. Without this burden on them. So I would be in support of this motion. Is there any other discussion? Councillor Corbeil?
Yeah, I have a quick question. How many other loans do we have to groups like this? None? Just making sure it doesn't kind of set a precedence. That's.
Thank you, Councillor Corbeil. That's a good point. Councillor Sobel?
I would just make one additional comment if I could. The reason why, so the chamber has paid the amount due for 2019, which is why I've dated this as January 1st of 2020, and it's basically for budgetary reasons for both the chamber and for the town.
Thank you, Councillors Corbeil and Sobel. Seeing no other discussion and the motion's on the floor, all in favor? And the motion is carried. Which brings us to item 10, bylaws. 10.1, bylaw number 19-03, fees bylaw, amendment bylaw. And I believe we have Mark Pretzlaff making a return.
Also, I'd like to introduce Mark West, or Trent West, as he's also known. He's also available if you wish to ask questions. So on that note, Your Worship and Council, I'm here to talk about bylaws relating to the all-access membership pass for the recreation facilities, as well as to speak to the third readings of the responsible animal control bylaw. I'm available to make a presentation on the recreation or all-access passes, and Mr. West here is also available for the responsible animal bylaw. So if there's any, if you wish me to proceed, let me know. If not, I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Councillor Peterson?
I'm ready with a motion, Your Worship, if councillors have had opportunity to ask questions.
Councillor Cox, would you like to ask your question and then?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mark. Sorry, but when we first were presented with this, we talked about what we were going to do with the people that already paid memberships. Is that in here? Because I'm sorry I missed it. Is there an upgrade?
We decided, well, based on the feedback of council, that would be a free upgrade.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mark.
Counselor Sobel, thank you, Counselor Cox. Counselor Sobel?
Thank you, Your Worship. Page 62 of the Schedule C of the document, Mark, let's see, third, under public swimming and general admission, last line on that area, showers 275. I think I know what that is, but I'm going to ask the question anyway.
It's access to the shower facilities.
And that's for the benefit of perhaps of the campers
Correct.
in the, just, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Sobel. Counselor Peterson?
Thank you, Your Worship. I would move that council give first reading to bylaw number 19-06, fees bylaw amendment bylaw.
Thank you for that, Counselor Peterson. You've all heard the motion. All in favor? The motion is carried. Counselor Corbeil?
I move the council give second reading to bylaw number 19-06, fees bylaw amendment bylaw.
Thank you for that. And now that we have second motion on the floor, is there any discussion on that motion? Counselor Sobel?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Deputy Mayor Montgomery?
Oh, I was just going to make another motion.
Okay, so we have no further discussion on the second motion. All right, all in favor? And that motion is carried. Deputy Mayor Montgomery?
Thank you. I will move the council give unanimous consent to a third and final reading of bylaw number 19-06, fees bylaw amendment bylaw.
Thank you for that, Deputy Mayor Montgomery. All in favor? The motion is carried. Counselor Sobel?
And I'd move that council give third and final reading to bylaw number 19-06, fees bylaw amendment bylaw.
Thank you, Counselor Sobel. You've all heard that motion. All in favor? And that motion is carried. And thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Which brings us to item 10.2, bylaw number 19-07, 2019 tax rate bylaw. And welcome back, Mr. Teedy from the Finance Department of our fair town.
Thank you, Your Worship. The basis of the mill rate bylaw has two originating components. The first is the property assessment. In this case, the assessment roll is virtually the same as the prior year, the difference being approximately 0.2% compared to the prior year. The second component is the budget approved by council for the 2019 year. The total taxation contained in bylaw 1907 is $18.2 million. The town adopted a long-term financial plan, and the long-term financial plan aligns with the budget. The table included in the materials presented shows that Strathmore has the second lowest taxation compared to surrounding communities based on the average cost of homes sold in the prior year and the rates of taxation for 2018. Subject to the passing of this bylaw, we anticipate the mailing of the tax notices will be during the week of May 13th, 2019. Those are my comments, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Mr. Teedy. Counselor Cox?
I'm ready to move the first motion.
Okay, let me just see if there are any questions. Are there any questions for Mr. Teedy first? Seeing none, Counselor Cox?
I move that council give first reading to bylaw number 19-07, the 2019 tax rate bylaw.
Thank you, Counselor Cox. You've all heard the motion. All in favor? Motion is carried. Counselor Peterson?
Your Worship, I would move that council give second reading to bylaw number 19-07, 2019 tax rate bylaw.
Thank you very much. There is a motion for second reading on the floor. Is there any discussion from any of the councilors? My only comments would be for the people who are watching at home, this may seem like we're moving through this fairly quickly, but we've spent many, many months and many hours of discussion on this. So this is the end factor of it all where we pass it and vote on it. But we have discussed this for a long period of time. Councillor Cox.
I'm also just going to add to that, Your Worship, just by background that you've provided for us, Mr. Teedy, that out of Airdrie, Strathmore, High River, Cochrane, Okotoks, and Chestermere, that Strathmore does have the lowest house prices out of all of them, and almost the lowest taxes. This is to say, come live in our town, right?
Thank you very much, Councillor Cox. We are open for business, I hear, too, in Alberta. So we have a motion for second reading. All in favor? The motion is carried. Councillor Corbeil.
I move the council give unanimous consent to a third and final reading of bylaw number 19-07, 2019 tax rate bylaw.
Thank you very much, Councillor Corbeil. We have a motion for unanimous consent for third and final reading. All in favor? The motion is carried. Deputy Mayor Montgomery.
Thank you. I will move that council give third and final reading to bylaw number 19-07, 2019 tax rate bylaw.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Montgomery. You've heard the motion. All in favor? And the motion is carried. And thank you, Mr. Teedy, for all your time and efforts on helping this come to fruition and for your presentation tonight.
Thank you, Your Worship.
That brings us to item 11, urgent business. I don't believe we have any urgent business tonight. And item 12 is questions between councillors and council statements. Do we have anything tonight from our council? Administrative inquiries, number 13. Ms. Sawatsky, do we have any administrative inquiries tonight? Okay, so we have no administrative inquiries. So at that point, it concludes the public meeting, and we're looking for a motion to go in camera. Councillor Corbeil.
I move we go to in camera.
Thank you for your motion. All in favor? And the motion is carried. We are going in camera at 7:58 PM. Thank you very much.